Hey folks, my name's Ed Travers. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of St. Margaret of Scotland that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, Gwe. I don't know why, but I have to do this video. I've tried to do other videos today. I've tried to touch on a couple of other topics that I wanted to talk on. I've tried to rant and rage because that's honestly kind of how I'm feeling, and yet I need to do this video. So I'm going to do this video, and I assume it's because somebody out there needs to hear it, or maybe I just need to say it out loud. The way my brain works, it's kind of torturous at times. This morning at about 5:30, I woke up, boom, straight up in the bed. I figured out how to fix my last play. See, a couple of years ago before I left Shelburne, I had written a play about a story that's sort of part of my family lore, and I wanted to share that story, and so I wrote a play, but it just didn't fit together the way I would have been happy with it fitting together. It took like draft after draft after draft. It was even in pre-production before COVID hit, and I was never happy with it. I really did not like how it turned out. This morning at 5:37, I figured out what exactly is wrong. I need to chop the whole first act, take everything that is in the first act, put it in the second act as conversation, as memory, as that kind of thing, and that'll make the entire thing work. It'll be so smooth. It'll be beautiful. It'll be awesome. I'm so excited about that. 5:37 this morning. My brain doesn't ever shut off. Yesterday, I released that video about God in Ukraine. I wanted to speak about Russia's invasion in Ukraine and answer that question of where is God. And in those comments, and by the way, I'm incredibly thankful for all those comments. I want to get to them. I would love to be able to have conversations with every single person that comments on my videos. It's just impossible. But so many good comments. Please keep them coming. I love it. It teaches me so much. Gives me inspiration for the next one. But in those comments, someone mentioned that they are exhausted. They can't deal with any more. A couple of days ago, I stumbled across a meme, and I haven't been able to find it since. A meme on Facebook when I was doing my daily trolling, and it said something along the lines of, I just want one day where I'm not coming face to face with a moment of historical significance. Now, it was much pithier than that, but that's what I've got for you. I got that meme. Immediately I understood exactly what that meme was talking about. That's how I feel. Right? As somebody whose brain does not shut off, that's how I feel. We spent a couple of years in a COVID pandemic, just sort of hopefully coming out of the COVID pandemic and everything that came with it, and all the changes and all the strife and all the fighting and all the turmoil and all the arguing and all the division. Yes, we're through it. We went through an election in the United States. We went through a few elections here in Canada, one federal, one provincial. We had the trucker convoy in Ottawa. We had, and now we're in this place where Russia has invaded the sovereign nation of Ukraine. It just seems like every time you turn on a screen, every time you pick up a newspaper, every time you listen to the radio, we're encountering another historically significant moment. And I'm not able to process it. It's just too much. It's too overwhelming. I know that the people on this channel, the people who generally that I communicate with on this channel, the people that I hear from who are watching this channel, I suspect many of you are similar to me in that there is an empathetic aspect of your character. There's a desire to understand. There's a desire to connect. There's a desire to process. There's a desire to formulate. There's a desire to hear and to absorb information. Compassionate, empathetic, sympathetic people often find themselves in situations where they are carrying a lot. And as new things happen, as new things develop, They want to take that stuff on too because they want to help. They want to be a part of it. They want to make a difference. They want to help others through. Now, to do that, though, you really should let go of other things, but we don't. We carry it all. And because we carry it all, eventually we can't move. For me, what helps is that I can't do anything creative. I have to do things that are methodical. Okay, things that are methodical. Now, I may have to think my way through it, but they're methodical. They're calculated. They're standardized. Okay, my brain doesn't shut off. My brain's always thinking. So when I find myself in a place where I am stressed, where I am feeling pressure, where I'm feeling like I'm carrying a lot, I do a few things that my brain is required to think about the moment. You know, some great examples for me are changing the oil in my vehicle. There's a method to that. There's a standardized operating procedures for that particular task. Fixing a part on the car, even if I don't know how to fix it, by learning how to fix it, you get the method, you get the standardized practices, and you do it. Building things in my shop. You know, I build stuff out of wood, and yes, there's a creative aspect to that in that I need to create something, but then when it comes down to it, it's measurements, it's cuts, it's attaching, it's fairly standardized. Even though it might be a new product every time, there's a standardized operating process. That's why I love sailing so much. Because when you're sailing, yes, there is absolutely, you're looking around and you're on the water and it's beautiful and it's windy and it's sunny and it's so great and it's all those, yes, it's just perfect. But your brain, even though it's experiencing all that, your brain still has to be on the moment, on the methods you have to employ, on the practices you have to engage in order to keep yourself from being in the water, in order to make sure that you get from point A to point B. Going for a hike in the woods for me, I know that one might sound really strange, but going for a hike in the woods for me, especially in places that I'm not terribly familiar with, I'm watching where my feet fall. I don't want to trip on a root or on a rock. I don't want to get hurt. And so I'm very conscious, I'm very aware of where I physically am at that moment. And when I do that, when I go for a hike in the woods and I'm watching the roots and I'm watching the rocks and I'm making sure that I'm safe and I'm making sure that I'm balanced and I'm steady, when I'm sailing and I'm making sure the lines are tight and the telltales are flying the way they need to fly and the rudder is centered and I'm going in where the wind's going and when I'm building in my shop or when I'm working on my vehicle or when I'm doing something that is methodical and standardized. Yes, my brain's still active, but it's in the moment. And by staying in the moment, I give myself a respite from all the stuff that's happening around me. I'm not trying to solve things. I'm not trying to fix things. I'm not trying to process information. I'm not trying to gather more information. I'm just where I am, doing what I need to do. I hope that helps. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray you will find your rest. I pray you will find your moment of peace where you pull away from the world to recoup, to refresh, because the world does need you. The world needs your gifts. And so we need you to take care of yourself. Amen. Numultus.